from the very moment Justin Bieber shared his heartwarming update about baby Jack. The internet lit up with joy because fans who have followed his journey from the early days of YouTube covers to global superstardom have always felt like they grew up with him, and seeing him step into fatherhood adds another inspiring layer to his already incredible story. And what makes Justin so unique is how he has navigated fame through ups and downs, from being a teenage sensation breaking records with Baby to maturing into an artist with purpose through albums like Purpose and Justice, and even more how he continues to connect with fans on a human level by sharing personal struggles, victories, and tender family moments, reminding everyone that behind the fame, he is just a man with dreams, challenges, and love to give. And speaking of artists who have shared their lives openly, we think of Taylor Swift, whose career has been nothing short of revolutionary, as she went from country music, sweetheart, to one of the most powerful voices in pop culture, reclaiming her artistry by re-recording her albums while simultaneously creating cultural phenomena with her tours and her songwriting, which touches on universal emotions of love, heartbreak, and resilience. And then we glide into the world of Beyoncé, whose impact reaches far beyond music, as she has shaped fashion, empowered women, and used her platform to highlight social justice through performances like Coachella, which became legendary for its celebration of Black culture and history, proving once again why she is not just a superstar but a cultural force. And then when we pause to think about stars who redefine resilience, we can look at Selena Gomez, who has bravely shared her health struggles and mental wellness journey while building a successful career as a musician, actress, and entrepreneur with Rare Beauty, which has become more than a makeup line, but a movement toward self-acceptance and kindness. And this theme of turning vulnerability into strength echoes in the career of Demi Lovato, who has also been open about challenges and comebacks, reminding us all that healing is never linear yet still possible. And while music often takes center stage, the world of film has given us icons like Leonardo DiCaprio, who not only delivered unforgettable performances in movies like Titanic, Inception, and The Revenant, but also became a tireless advocate for environmental causes, raising awareness about climate change and using his fame to create global conversations about saving our planet. And then we shift to another Hollywood legend, Angelina Jolie, who has inspired millions through her acting career, but even more so through her humanitarian work with the United Nations, advocating for refugees and human rights around the globe, and her legacy proves that stardom can be transformed into meaningful service. And this echoes in the journey of Keanu Reeves, whose kindness, generosity, and humility have become as celebrated as his roles in The Matrix and John Wick franchises, making him one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood, with stories of him quietly helping fans, crew members, and strangers, circulating as proof that authenticity still shines in an industry often clouded by illusions. And then we see the meteoric rise of Zendaya, who began as a Disney Channel star and has evolved into an Emmy Award-winning actress for her role in Euphoria, while also conquering the world of fashion with elegance and influence, and her presence has inspired young people everywhere to embrace both ambition and authenticity. And speaking of authenticity, another inspiring figure is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, whose larger-than-life presence in wrestling and film is matched by his genuine interactions with fans, sharing motivational messages and personal stories that make him feel approachable. Despite his superstar status, and his journey from humble beginnings to Hollywood dominance is a constant reminder of perseverance and positivity. And this theme of breaking barriers is beautifully illustrated by BTS, who emerged from South Korea to dominate the global music scene, with record-breaking albums, sold-out stadium tours, and heartfelt messages about self-love and resilience, while also making history by addressing the United Nations, proving that music truly is a universal language. And alongside them, Blackpink has shown how a group of talented women can transform the K-pop landscape, bringing Korean culture to international stages while influencing fashion, beauty, and global entertainment. And then looking at sports, we see how icons like Serena Williams have not only dominated tennis with unparalleled strength, but also used their platform to advocate for women in sports and equality, proving that excellence can pave the way for justice and empowerment. And then we think of LeBron James, whose career in basketball has been legendary, but whose greatest achievement might just be opening the I Promise School, giving opportunities to children who need it most, because true greatness is measured not just in records, but in lives uplifted. And this intertwining of personal legacy and public impact is also evident in Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, who both represent dedication, excellence, and humility in their own ways. Turning football into not just a sport, but a source of global inspiration. And then looking at the film world once more, we remember the journey of Robert Downey Jr., who rose from struggles and setbacks to become Iron Man, one of the most beloved characters in the Marvel Universe, proving that comebacks can be greater than setbacks. And his story resonates with anyone who has ever fallen only to rise, stronger than before. And this idea of transformation echoes again when we talk about Lady Gaga, who redefined what it means to be an artist by fearlessly expressing herself through music, fashion, and film, while also founding the Born This Way Foundation to support mental health awareness and inclusivity, making her art inseparable from her advocacy. And all these stories show us that while the spotlight may shine brightly, it is the humanity, the vulnerability, and the resilience of celebrities that keeps us watching, listening, and inspired. And as we continue exploring the stories that shape the world of celebrities, we can never forget the way Rihanna transformed herself from a teenage singer discovered in Barbados to a global superstar, and then into a billionaire businesswoman, redefining beauty standards with Fenty Beauty, which became a groundbreaking brand celebrated for inclusivity and representation. And her philanthropic efforts through the Clara Lionel Foundation highlight her dedication to education and disaster relief, making her not just an entertainer but a global changemaker. And speaking of changemakers, Priyanka Chopra Jonas has carved a unique path from Bollywood stardom to Hollywood recognition, while simultaneously advocating for gender equality, education, and children's rights, proving that cultural boundaries can be broken through talent, determination, and purpose. And then we look toward Shawn Mendes, who began his journey uploading short covers on Vine only to evolve into one of the most beloved pop stars of his generation, whose authenticity and vulnerability in both his music and public life have earned him a deep and loyal fan base. And that bond between artist and fans is mirrored by Billie Eilish, who rose to fame with her brother Phineas, creating a sound that spoke directly to a new generation of listeners. And despite her young age, she has become a fashion icon, environmental activist, and Grammy powerhouse whose openness about mental health has helped countless fans feel seen and heard. And in the same way, Harry Styles has redefined what it means to be a modern male pop star by embracing individuality and fluid fashion while delivering powerful music and connecting with fans on a deeply personal level, creating safe spaces of joy, acceptance, and celebration during his concerts. And then when we turn back to Hollywood, we see actors like Florence Pugh, who have captivated audiences with raw and powerful performances, while also refusing to play by outdated rules of celebrity image, instead choosing to share her unfiltered self on social media, which has only deepened her connection with fans and given her career even more momentum. And then we see Timothée Chalamet, whose unique charm and dedication to artistry have made him one of the most sought-after young actors and a fashion icon who represents a new wave of expressive masculinity. And when we reflect on legendary stars, we must remember Meryl Streep, whose decades-long career has set the gold standard for acting while also using her voice for women's rights and social issues, making her both an artist and an advocate. And then we move to Oprah Winfrey, whose journey from humble beginnings to becoming one of the most influential women in the world embodies resilience, generosity, and the power of storytelling, as she has built a career not only in entertainment but in uplifting others through education, philanthropy, and inspirational platforms. And this same thread of inspiration can be seen in Ellen DeGeneres, who, although having faced controversies, is still remembered for the courage it took to come out in the 1990s, changing television forever, and opening doors for LGBTQ+ representation. And then we can talk about Shakira, who has captivated audiences for decades with her music and performances, while also dedicating herself to education for children through her Barefoot Foundation, and proving that global stardom can coexist with deep social responsibility. And from there, we see the journey of Jennifer Lopez, who has redefined longevity in the entertainment industry by excelling as a singer, dancer, actress, and businesswoman, while inspiring millions with her work ethic and style. And her Super Bowl halftime performance alongside Shakira became a cultural milestone, reminding the world of their influence and talent. And then we reflect on the incredible impact of Adele, whose voice and storytelling have brought comfort and catharsis to millions of listeners around the world, and whose vulnerability in discussing personal struggles has made her not only relatable, but an artist whose work feels timeless and honest. And we also celebrate Katy Perry, whose colorful creativity and larger-than-life performances have made her one of the most recognizable pop stars of our time, while she has also dedicated herself to advocacy in mental health and voting rights, showing that she uses her platform to entertain and empower. And then turning toward the world of sports again, we celebrate Usain Bolt, whose speed made him a living legend and whose joyful personality made him beloved worldwide, while his philanthropic contributions continue to inspire young athletes in Jamaica and beyond. And we also celebrate Simone Biles, who redefined gymnastics with her extraordinary skill while standing up for her mental health and well-being at the height of her career, inspiring people everywhere to value balance over pressure and strength over silence. And her courage reshaped how the world sees athletes, proving that being human is as powerful as being extraordinary. And then we reflect on Michael B. Jordan, whose transition from television roles to becoming a leading man in films, like Black Panther, has made him a role model for representation and resilience, and his work behind the camera as a director continues to expand his influence as he uplifts diverse stories and voices. And then we move into the legacy of Chadwick Boseman, who, although his life was tragically cut short, left behind performances and a cultural impact that will never be forgotten, as Black Panther became more than a movie, but a global symbol of empowerment, representation, and pride, reminding us that true legacy is measured not by years, but by depth and impact. And from there, we can celebrate Angelina Jolie's children, who are growing up with a global perspective thanks to her humanitarian work, showing how celebrity families, too, can become examples of compassion and leadership. And then we see Gigi Hadid, who, along with her sister Bella, has transformed the modeling industry with influence on fashion, while also showing vulnerability as a mother, reminding fans that even in glamour, reality exists and it is embraced. And Bella Hadid herself has become an icon for openly discussing struggles with health, while continuing to dominate fashion runways with poise, proving that transparency is powerful. And then in the realm of comedy, we reflect on Kevin Hart, whose energy and work ethic turned him into one of the most successful comedians and actors of his time, while his philanthropic work in education and disaster relief demonstrates how laughter can go hand in hand with love and support for communities. And continuing this journey through the incredible landscape of celebrity lives, we cannot miss the story of Miley Cyrus, whose evolution from Disney Channel star to bold and fearless performer has been a fascinating one, as she constantly reinvents her sound and image while staying true to herself and using her platform to support causes like LGBTQ+ rights, animal welfare, and youth empowerment. And her story reminds fans everywhere that growth is not about erasing the past, but embracing change and authenticity. And then we move into the career of Demi Moore, whose decades of success in Hollywood combined with her openness about personal struggles have made her both iconic and relatable. And her resilience has paved the way for others to embrace honesty in an industry built on appearances. And then reflecting on Will Smith, we see a career filled with blockbuster films, chart-topping music, and undeniable charisma, but also lessons in navigating the complexities of fame, family, and growth. And despite facing challenges, he continues to inspire with his focus on self-development and positivity. And from there, we look at Jennifer Lawrence, whose down-to-earth humor combined with Academy Award-winning talent has made her one of the most beloved actresses of her generation, reminding fans that humility and hard work can coexist with superstardom. And then we see Gal Gadot, who became a global icon as Wonder Woman, symbolizing strength and compassion, while also working as a producer and advocate for equality, inspiring women worldwide with both her on-screen and off-screen presence. And then reflecting on Chris Hemsworth, whose career as Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe has made him a household name yet beyond his superhero persona. He is celebrated for his dedication to family fitness and philanthropy, particularly in environmental conservation. And then his Marvel co-star Tom Holland represents a new generation of stars who connect with fans directly through social media, sharing humor, humility, and heartfelt gratitude while bringing Spider-Man to life for millions of young fans, and proving that relatability is a superpower too. And then shifting into the world of music again, we find Ed Sheeran, whose journey from playing small pubs in the UK to becoming one of the most streamed artists in history is nothing short of inspirational. And his songwriting filled with raw emotion has resonated with fans across generations, while his philanthropy has quietly supported numerous causes from children's hospitals to music education. And then we look at Elton John, whose decades-long career filled with timeless music is matched only by his dedication to fighting AIDS through the Elton John AIDS Foundation, which has saved countless lives and cemented his legacy as a humanitarian as much as an artist. And then we celebrate Celine Dion, whose voice has become legendary while her resilience in facing personal loss has only strengthened. her connection to fans making her one of the most enduring and beloved performers of all time. And then we must acknowledge Britney Spears, whose journey from pop princess to global icon has been filled with triumphs, challenges, and ultimately freedom, as her story of resilience and reclaiming independence has inspired conversations about mental health and autonomy. And then looking at Madonna, the queen of pop herself, her ability to reinvent across decades has kept her at the center of cultural conversations while also influencing fashion politics and the empowerment of women, reminding us that reinvention is not just possible, but powerful. And then shifting to Shah Rukh Khan. Once again, we marvel at how his journey from modest beginnings to becoming Bollywood's king of romance symbolizes the hope and dreams of millions. And his philanthropy, particularly in healthcare for children, continues to define his true stardom beyond the screen. And from Bollywood to Hollywood, we then look at Priyanka Chopra Jonas again, but now alongside Nick Jonas, whose career as part of the Jonas Brothers Band evolved from Disney stardom to worldwide tours inspiring fans with music that blends nostalgia and growth, and the couple's journey together symbolizes the merging of cultures and artistry on a global scale. And then moving into sports, we find legends like Roger Federer, whose grace on and off the tennis court combined with his philanthropic foundation has made him one of the most respected athletes of all time, and alongside him, Rafael Nadal, whose resilience in the face of injuries and challenges has inspired athletes everywhere, reminding us that persistence and passion are the keys to greatness. And then turning back to Hollywood, we celebrate Sandra Bullock, whose charm, versatility, and philanthropy have made her a beloved star for decades, and whose roles have inspired laughter, tears, and admiration in equal measure. And then Julia Roberts, whose infectious smile and timeless performances have defined eras in cinema, while she also dedicates time to activism in education and health. And then reflecting on Natalie Portman, we admire her ability to balance blockbuster roles with indie films while also advocating for gender equality and using her Harvard education to expand conversations about women in film. And then moving into the next generation, Millie Bobby Brown has become an icon for young audiences with her role in Stranger Things, while building a brand with her beauty line Florence by Mills, and using her voice to speak about online safety and kindness, showing that influence starts early and can be used for good. And then looking into the fashion world, we celebrate designers like Virgil Abloh, whose groundbreaking work at Louis Vuitton and Off-White redefined what luxury fashion could be, blending streetwear with high design while opening doors for new voices in the industry. And then Anna Wintour, whose decades at Vogue have influenced global fashion while also supporting philanthropic causes behind the scenes, showing that influence in style can ripple far beyond runways and magazines. And then we reflect on Oprah Winfrey again, but in a new light as someone whose influence paved the way for talk show hosts like Trevor Noah, who combined humor with insight as he took The Daily Show global, using comedy to bridge cultures and conversations. And this reminds us that celebrities are not just entertainers. They are connectors, shaping how we view ourselves and the world around us. And as we continue this exploration of the lives of celebrities who shape culture and inspire millions, it becomes clear that their journeys are far more than red carpet appearances. Because when we think of people like Matthew McConaughey, we see not only an Academy Award-winning actor, but also a man who has embraced philanthropy, teaching, and advocacy, encouraging young people to chase their dreams while grounding himself in family and faith. And then we think of Anne Hathaway, who has dazzled audiences with performances from The Princess Diaries to Les Miserables, while also using her voice as a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, advocating for gender equality and family rights, proving that her artistry is deeply connected to her activism. And then looking at Reese Witherspoon, who built a career on charm and talent, but later reshaped Hollywood with her production company, Hello Sunshine, amplifying women's stories and creating some of the most celebrated shows of the last decade. And then we see Oprah's legacy echoed in people like Ava DuVernay, who as a director has broken barriers in Hollywood while using her work to elevate voices and stories that had too often been overlooked. And her ability to combine artistry with activism is a reminder of the powerful role celebrities play in cultural change. And then we consider Hugh Jackman, whose portrayal of Wolverine made him a global star, but who is equally admired for his humility, his passion for the arts, and his dedication to charitable causes like fighting poverty and supporting education. And his work on Broadway shows the depth of his versatility, proving that talent can cross any boundary. And then shifting to music once more, we are reminded of the enduring power of Alicia Keys, whose voice is not only breathtaking, but whose humanitarian efforts have changed lives through Keep a Child Alive, and whose presence radiates authenticity, reminding fans that true beauty comes from self-acceptance. And then we think of John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, whose partnership combines music, fashion, and advocacy. And together they have used their platforms to support voting rights, social justice, and families around the world, proving that celebrity couples can multiply their impact when united in purpose. And then reflecting on the rise of Cardi B, who went from viral internet personality to Grammy-winning rapper. Her journey illustrates resilience, confidence, and the power of embracing authenticity, as she became a role model for women everywhere to own their truth and define success on their own terms. And then shifting to another powerful figure, we see Nicki Minaj, whose influence on hip-hop is undeniable as she broke records, elevated female rap to global heights, and continues to inspire her fan base with her unapologetic presence and creativity. And then we return to the sports world, where figures like Kobe Bryant continue to inspire even after his passing, because his legacy of hard work, mentorship, and love for family left a mark on the world that transcends basketball. And his Mamba mentality lives on in athletes, artists, and dreamers who push themselves to greatness. And then we consider Stephen Curry, whose impact on basketball goes beyond championships, as he has revolutionized the game while also supporting education and empowering young people to believe in themselves. And from there, we celebrate athletes like Naomi Osaka, again, who brought mental health into global sports conversations, inspiring countless fans to prioritize well-being. And Serena Williams, who redefined what it means to be an athlete, a businesswoman, and a mother, showing that strength has many forms. And then looking at artists in film, once again we find Lupita Nyong'o, who continues to inspire with her performances, while her advocacy for diversity and representation has opened doors for a new generation. And then Viola Davis, whose strength as an actress combined with her honesty about struggles growing up in poverty has inspired millions, proving that dreams can rise from the humblest of beginnings. And then moving into comedy, we celebrate actors like Robin Williams, whose legacy of laughter and humanity continues to live on, reminding us that humor is healing, and his countless roles from Mrs. Doubtfire to Dead Poets Society still touch hearts today. And then we reflect on the global phenomenon of BTS again, whose influence in music, fashion, and social causes has reached levels never before seen by a non-English speaking group, and their love for fans and consistent message of self-love continues to create waves of inspiration. And then we also celebrate Blackpink once more, as their influence continues to expand, with members pursuing solo careers, brand ambassadorships, and global advocacy, reminding fans that unity and individuality can coexist in powerful ways. And then we think of Harry Styles again, whose ability to break boundaries in music and fashion has redefined masculinity and given fans everywhere permission to express themselves freely and with joy. And then looking at Billie Eilish, we remember how her authenticity, her willingness to defy expectations, and her connection to environmental activism have made her one of the most influential young artists of her time, showing that vulnerability can become a source of power and connection. And then reflecting on legends like Barbra Streisand, whose decades of artistry combined with philanthropy have created an enduring influence on both music and culture, and Cher, whose fearless reinvention across eras has kept her relevant and inspiring for generations. And then turning once again to Hollywood icons, we celebrate Tom Hanks, whose warmth, versatility, and dedication to storytelling have made him one of the most trusted and beloved figures in entertainment. And then Sandra Bullock, who has combined career longevity with generosity, quietly supporting causes and families in need, proving that kindness is the greatest legacy. And then we look at Angelina Jolie again, who continues her humanitarian work while raising children to be globally aware citizens, proving that celebrity influence can ripple through generations. And as we continue exploring the remarkable universe of celebrities, we begin to see how each story, whether of triumph, resilience, creativity, or reinvention, connects to the larger narrative of inspiration that millions around the world draw from. Every day, for instance, when we look at Zendaya again, it is not just her acting in Euphoria or her dazzling red carpet appearances, but also her incredible ability to remain grounded and connected to her fans as she uses her platform to promote kindness and inclusivity, showing that authenticity is the key to longevity. And then when we think of her co-star Hunter Schafer, we are reminded of the power of representation, because her presence has inspired countless young people to embrace who they are and fight for their dreams no matter the challenges. And then turning to another global icon, we revisit the journey of Lady Gaga, who continues to astound the world not only with her artistic boldness, but also her compassion through initiatives like the Born This Way Foundation, reminding fans that fame is most powerful when used for good. And then there is Adele, who has redefined vulnerability in music, her voice carrying emotions that resonate deeply across generations, while her openness about personal struggles has created an unshakable bond with her audience, proving that even in the glitz of fame, honesty remains the strongest connection. And then considering someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson again, we see how an athlete transformed into one of Hollywood's most bankable stars, while simultaneously becoming a motivational force online. His messages about perseverance, family, and hard work, inspiring fans to push through their own obstacles. And then there is Ryan Reynolds, whose charm, humor, and entrepreneurial spirit have made him one of the most beloved figures in Hollywood, not only as an actor, but as a business leader who connects with fans in a refreshingly human way. And then his partnership with Blake Lively reminds us that celebrity couples can capture hearts when their love feels authentic, playful, and supportive. And then looking toward the world of models and fashion, we celebrate Gigi Hadid, who has transformed from runway star to businesswoman, all while balancing motherhood and career with grace, and her sister Bella Hadid, whose openness about health struggles has inspired empathy and awareness, proving that beauty and vulnerability can exist side by side. And then we celebrate Naomi Campbell, whose decades-long career paved the way for diversity on runways, while her philanthropy in Africa has touched countless lives, making her legacy one of influence and impact. And then when we reflect on figures like Tyra Banks, we see not only a trailblazing supermodel, but also a businesswoman and mentor who created platforms for young talent to shine, and then shifting to film. Once more, we celebrate Leonardo DiCaprio, whose evolution from teen idol to one of the world's greatest actors has been paralleled by his tireless commitment to environmental causes, inspiring fans and leaders alike to protect the planet. And then we see how his dedication reflects the broader trend of celebrities leveraging fame for global awareness. And then we look at Natalie Portman, whose intelligence, activism, and artistry combine to form an influence that extends beyond film, as she uses her voice for animal rights education and gender equality, reminding audiences that celebrities are more than performers, they are leaders. And then when we shift to the global stage, again we celebrate Priyanka Chopra, whose rise from Miss World to Bollywood star to Hollywood mainstay showcases ambition, courage, and determination. And her partnership with Nick Jonas blends two worlds of fandom, inspiring cross-cultural appreciation. And then we reflect on Shakira again, whose voice and dance moves have captivated audiences worldwide, while her humanitarian work and education has built schools and opportunities for countless children, proving that her legacy goes far beyond the stage. And then we think of Jennifer Lopez again, whose decades of reinvention in music, film, and fashion show the limitless possibilities of hard work and vision, while her continued energy on stage at global events leaves fans in awe of her endurance and artistry. And then returning to music legends, we celebrate Elton John, whose decades of timeless songs and advocacy for HIV/AIDS awareness have left an indelible mark on both the music industry and humanitarian history. And then Paul McCartney, whose Beatles legacy combined with solo achievements keeps him one of the most influential living musicians, reminding us that music truly has the power to change the world. And then considering newer stars like Shawn Mendes, whose rise through social media to global stages illustrates how modern pathways to fame are evolving and how staying true to oneself can maintain genuine connections. And then Camila Cabello, whose music and advocacy for mental health show that vulnerability is a strength that fans deeply respect. And then moving into the cinematic realm, again, we reflect on Margot Robbie, who went from breakout roles to global stardom with her fearless choices in film and her work as a producer, highlighting female-driven stories in Hollywood. And then Florence Pugh, whose powerful performances and down-to-earth personality have won her global admiration and a devoted fan base, proving that the future of Hollywood is bright in the hands of such authentic talents. And then we celebrate Simu Liu, who went from accounting to becoming a Marvel superhero, and in doing so shattered barriers for Asian representation in Hollywood, inspiring millions across the globe to believe in possibility. And then Awkwafina, whose comedy and acting blend into a story of resilience and creativity that has encouraged countless fans to embrace their individuality. And then reflecting once again on figures like Will Smith, we see the complexity of celebrity lives with their highs and lows. But ultimately, his decades of work in music, film, and philanthropy remind us that legacies are shaped by resilience and growth. And then we consider Jada Pinkett Smith, whose work in acting advocacy and candid conversations about family and life have made her an influential voice. And then moving once again into global influence, we look at Malala Yousafzai, who, though not a celebrity, in the traditional Hollywood sense, has become an icon of courage, education, and empowerment, and her presence at global events alongside artists shows the blending of activism and entertainment in shaping cultural narratives. And then we turn to Rihanna again, whose journey from Barbados to global superstardom has become one of the most inspiring tales of vision, perseverance, and entrepreneurship. Her Fenty empire proving that celebrities can reshape industries and inspire generations all, while using their platform to push for inclusivity and representation. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more positive and inspiring celebrity stories.